Hey everyone, this is Coach Phoenix.
And I'm Coach Gina.
And this is Toast with the Coaches. Cheers.
Cheers. Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Perspective, the show where we drink and talk about life, the universe, and all that other jazz.
And again, I'm Coach Phoenix, founder and CEO of Role Model Life Coaching. At Role Model Life Coaching, we partner with our clients to navigate down the road of life towards their model self.
And I'm Coach Gina. I'm a certified life coach and founder of Clear Focus Coaching. At Clear Focus Coaching, we specialize in boundaries coaching and women empowerment. To find out more, click the link below.
So at this time, I would like to raise a toast. I would like to raise a toast for a beautiful and fierce young lady, a trend-setting Generation Zer, a model, but not just any model, a curvy model, Fisk University alum, LA's own, the talented Shai Mackk. Cheers.
Woo, cheers. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I like that you actually did like the glass clink. That's nice.
Right, like you have to do it like with the crowd.
What?
Exactly. I like it.
What's poppin', Shai? How you doing? I like your hair. You look wonderful.
Thank you. Just got off work.
That's what's up.
Nice.
So let's get right into it. So you're a model.
Right.
But like I said, You're not just any model. So I heard of, like, everyone knows like the traditional model, like the runway models and the cover girls, things in that nature. But then you have like a wave that's popping right now with the plus size model. But when we reached out to you and we was actually recommended to your page, and that's how we found you, that you're a curvy model. Describe to us in the audience exactly what a curvy model is.
Yeah, so basically a curve model is, like, the easiest way to explain it is in between a plus size model and the standard model. It's more of like a newer niche category, whatever you want to call it. Because typically women my size would be categorized as plus size, but realizing that we don't wear plus size clothing, it doesn't really fit. So there was a new category created. I don't know at what point it was created. I don't know who created it, but it's there and I'm in it. So yeah, that's essentially what it is.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, how did you get into that? Were you a standard model before, or like, how did you make that transition?
Yeah, great question.
Yeah, so I didn't start modeling until my first photo shoot was 2017 maybe. And at that point I was this size. So I was never really a standard model. I've always been like on the little ticker side. So when I did start modeling like professionally, I was this size. So I've always been from the start a curve model.
Okay, so that niche kind of existed and you just went straight for it?
Exactly.
Okay.
You mentioned that you are, you say this size. What is this size? Like, what size would be a curve size model or someone that you consider a curve size woman?
I would say probably between a 6 and a 10. I'm an 8 right now. But yeah, I would say between a 6 and a 10.
So when Drake said, I like my women BBW, because I think I like my women BBW too. My girls BBW, I think. So what size is that?
For the less hip listeners, obviously not me, because I am hip. Can you define this term?
BBW? Big, beautiful woman.
I like it.
Yeah. So that's like your voluptuous women. But what size is that, Shai? Is 8, 10? Is that considered BBW as well?
I feel like that, like the BBW term is more of like, what's the word? Subjective. It's subjective.
Okay.
But to me, a BBW is probably like a 10 and up.
10 and up? Yeah. I like 10s and up.
I was gonna say, like, on a scale of rating, it's like, ooh, she's a 10. I'm like, that's always a good thing, right? Like,
yeah, my girl's a 10, I believe.
It's a good thing. So, Shai, how did you, if you started your modeling career in 2017, what led you to that point? What were you doing previously? And then how did you get into modeling?
So my very first photo shoot, I don't like to say I started my modeling career in 2017, but I did shoot for the first time in 2017. Only reason I did it was because my friend had a class assignment. I was in college at the time. Okay. My friend had a class assignment. She was like, hey, can you be in my project? And I was like, sure, I guess. And so we shot, and I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. I felt kind of awkward at first because I didn't know what I was doing. But I did grow up watching America's Next Top Model, so I just tried to channel my inner Tyra. I was like trying to smize and do my thing. But I still felt
smile
awkward
with the eyes.
Right, exactly. But I still felt awkward, so I didn't really feel like it was for me at first. And then she asked me again, like a year later, to shoot with her. So I was like, okay. And this was during a time where I was actually doing makeup. I was a makeup artist and like having clients on campus and stuff. So I was like taking a lot of pictures and like getting more comfortable with like posing myself. And then at that point, I was like, okay, I feel more comfortable doing this. And so the second time I shot with her, I felt more comfortable and I was like in a groove. Still didn't start my career though. And then I would say I was still doing makeup. And then up to a certain point, once I was about to graduate, I had someone contact me because after I graduated, I was going to move back. I'm from San Diego. So I was going to move back to San Diego, which I did. And this guy hit me up. He's a photographer. And he was like, hey, I'm trying to expand my portfolio. Would you want to shoot with me or whatever? And so I was like, oh, yeah, sure, let's do it. And from there, after I shot with him, I was just kind of on a roll. I just kept coming. And so it was at that point that I started realizing, like, when I started noticing that I wanted to improve in this and I wanted to see how far I could go, that's when I knew, like, this is what I like to do.
Yeah, you found that you had a passion for it.
Had a passion. So when you say it kept coming, what, like different jobs, different individuals will show their interest to you? And if so, like, what they would do that like via social media, or what platform did you like market yourself?
Yeah, so it was all on Instagram. I posted the first shoot, and then someone else, like another San Diego photographer, was like, hey, let's shoot. And I just kept going like that. And I wouldn't like kind of promote myself as a model really yet, but I would just post the pictures, and then people would say, hey, I want to shoot with you, like, let's get a concept together. So I was shooting for free for a while, and then here we are.
And suddenly you're an ad.
So what was that switch? So what was the switch to go, you know what, I could really start making money? So what urged you to like start charging?
That's a really good question. I think when I realized, like, I started getting more jobs, I was like, I'm doing this a lot and I'm doing this for free. Is this like a smart thing for me to do? Is this a smart way for me to optimize my time doing all these things for free? Like, I love modeling, like, that's great. But if I'm good at this and I'm clearly getting the feedback that I'm good at this, I should be charging for it. So I started slow, started low, started charging a little bit at a time. And then as time went on, I started asking photographers that I've worked with, like, hey, how much do you think, in your opinion, after working with me, would you pay for me to model for you? And they were like giving me these numbers that I was like, damn, really? Really?
Like,
okay.
I'll miss out on that bread.
You're like, I'm selling myself short, right?
Thanks.
So I was like, okay, bet. And so from there, I still like, I gauge the return on investment. Like, if they're like a bigger photographer and I know I'm going to get some more eyes on my profile from doing this shoot, then I probably won't charge. But if it's something like I'm helping them out to expand their portfolio, I'm more than happy to do it, but I will have to charge.
Sure. Yeah,
So.
it's more about like the worth than actual dollar amounts.
Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly. Or if they ask me, like, even if I would just work with them in general, if they ask me, I'm not going to say, oh, no, never mind. Like, no.
Yeah.
I'm going to get my coins. So,
yeah, absolutely. So from my non-modeling experience, one of the things that kind of surrounds the modeling industry is the idea of perfection, or especially for the standard models of like, oh, you have to be so thin and you can't eat, and like there's all these restrictions and stuff. Are there similar restrictions, do you feel, in the curve modeling industry? Or like, is it like, no, you need to eat 5 meals today to like manage your weight, or like what, like how does that work?
Good question.
Yeah, that is a really good question. So when you're sending in your measurements to people and they're like, for the purposes of like you modeling their clothes, they're expecting you to come in as that size. So maintaining the size, like I don't think you need to eat X amount of meals a day, or you need to be this weight all the time. It's more so your measurements and making sure you maintain the measurements that you're sending out.
Okay.
That makes sense. Okay. So it's kind of like, yeah, like if you're going for a role that has long hair or something like that, like you don't go cut off your hair. It's like you need to keep the same image just kind of consistent.
Exactly. It's all about like advertisement. Like if you're advertising this product and you come in and this product doesn't look the way it was advertised, you're a model, but you're still a brand, you're a product. So you need to make sure the product that you're advertising matches what you're presenting.
So so as a curve model, is that, I guess, genre of modeling dominated by African American women, or like curvier women, so like women of color, Latin women, things of that nature? Or would you say it's still like predominantly white women as you think about like traditional modeling?
No, I feel like the modeling industry has become very diversified, especially now. It's really annoying, but it's good for me, I guess, because everyone wants to be diverse, and I have this skin tone and I have this hair type and I have this body type on my brand. So, it's a trend right now to be inclusive.
Okay. So business is good right now.
Right, exactly. It's looking really good right now. So so I've been noticing that it's very diversified, a bunch of different looks, skin tones, hair types, body types. So I wouldn't say, even for the standard models, I would say there's a healthy mix. I don't know if maybe it's just that's what I have on my feed, but as far as I can see, like even with the brands that I follow, I always see like a good mix of races and body types.
That's awesome. I mean, I hear you that it's a bit of a kind of tokenizing diversity a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hopefully that turns into like a genuine desire, though, because seeing that diversity and just the beauty on different people, it's like even simple things like metallic eyeshadow, like doesn't look good on me. It does not look good on me. But like I love it on darker tones, and I'm just like, I want to see that. I want to admire that because it's art. And like having only like Van Goghs in your house is boring. Like you need the different types of art to look at. Like it's gonna get boring. So I like that.
Exactly.
Even if it's not for the right reason right now. Yeah, I like that it's the diversity is coming into play, and hopefully that does not go away.
Right. It sucks to say, but like it's still providing jobs for people of different skin tones, whether it's genuine or not.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I know earlier I mentioned that you're a generation, you from the Generation Z era now, right? That's the new generation. I'm a millennial. I'm an older millennial, but I'm a millennial. Gina's a millennial as well. So like growing up for me, when I think about modeling and how a woman would become a model, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I would think that a person or a woman would go through like a modeling agency. From model agency to model agency would shop her photos and her portfolio to different jobs. Now I know in your era, and I love the newer generation, it seemed like based on what I heard from you, is that you didn't go that route. You went from, hey, I think I could do this in college, to you becoming like an Instagram model, to where that became your platform and your marketing tool, so where you got jobs. So I guess my question for you would be, what would you tell the future generation or the young women that is inspiring to be a model, a curve model, or just a model in general? What would you tell them, or what would be your advice on their path to fulfilling their dreams?
That's hard, because it's never like a one size fits all type of thing. So I definitely want to start off saying that. Yeah. But with that being said, don't sell yourself short. Know what works for you. Know what you're good at. If you see someone else is good at this, please be aware and know, like, is that going to work for me too? Because I have to constantly have that in my head too. Like, even though this looks good on her, or she does good doing that, am I good at doing that? Because at the end of the day, you might end up making yourself feel dumb for trying to do something or doing something that it's not meant for you. Market yourself really well. Don't feel like you have to take an opportunity from like a shady photographer just because they have X, Y, and Z opportunities for you, because at the end, it's not going to be a comfortable experience. It's going to leave a bad taste in your mouth, and it might make you not even want to do it anymore. If that's your first experience and you feel like, well, shit, is this what it's going to be like with every photographer that I work with? So just keep your eyes out for those red flags. Watch for those fucking scammers, because in these days with social media, and I know me even still posting on social media, there's a lot of people that comment, DM so-and-so to collab with us. If they want to work with you, they will DM you. Don't go off chasing those people, because it's more likely a scam. They're probably going to ask you to pay for something. Real agencies also, this is the second point, real agencies aren't going to ask you to pay anything. It's free. Use all of your free tools. Facebook has a lot of good modeling groups that you can post in and say, hey, I want to expand my portfolio. And you can post a couple of your pictures, even if you don't have any professional modeling pictures. It's just like pictures you took yourself, or you were out and about, whatever. If they see you and they want to work with you, they want to expand their portfolio too. So they'll work with you too. And it's free. They're not going to charge you. Just let them know you want to do TFP, trade for print. And honestly, you can go from there.
I like that. Yeah.
Hell yeah, you was just dropping them jewels. Hold on, let's give them a second to rewind that. Drop those notes down, because that was a lot of gems you just dropped on the audience. We appreciate that.
My main takeaway is don't go on Craigslist for photographers. It's a bad idea.
I've never done it, but I've taken because I worked with a model before that was like, yeah, I found this job on Craigslist. And I was like, why? So I was like, let me just see like what kind of stuff is up there. And a lot of it is like porn hinting, like, yeah, just don't do it. Don't do it. Stick to Facebook. Yeah. Stick to Facebook where people actually have faces and they have a trail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So I'm wondering if you can speak to any of the struggles that you've experienced being a model. Because again, I think about kind of the cliches of, people seeing models as just a pretty face, or that it's really competitive and like the people are mean, or, like just the things that you hear about. Like, is there any truth to those things? And have you experienced any of those struggles? Like what's kind of been the biggest challenge for you, do you feel?
Honestly, I haven't met any like other models that are mean. Everyone I've come into contact with, like the models, are very nice, they're really sweet. I know sometimes I go into, because I'm still relatively new to the modeling industry. I've only been modeling for a year professionally.
Oh, wow. But you're killing it already. Yeah. Congratulations. That's crazy. Like I said,
thank you.
We was brought to you because of one of your fans. It was like, oh, you have to like interview her. She official. This is who like I aspire to be. So that was kind of big.
Thank you. all the models are nice. I've never really run into like any rude models or anything, or feeling like I had to compete or anything like that. I used to do like dang, they're gonna know I'm talking about them. I used to do a thing that wasn't necessarily related to modeling, but like, the girls, I'm kind of, when I first meet people, I'm a little standoffish just because I'm shy and I like to feel people out first and like observe before I start to, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So the first time I met one of the girls, as soon as the little event thing was over, I left because I was like, I'm ready to go home and be in my own space. And it had nothing personal. That's just how I am. And I feel like from that point, she took it personally, because after that, when I saw her, she was just very not nice. Not nice. And yeah. So that was my only experience with something like that. But for the most part, models are nice. But I have ran into some shady photographers. There was one time someone DM'd me and wanted to shoot with me, and I was like, yeah, sure. Like let's set it up. Like, he was a good photographer. And then like the next day he was following up with me. And then like in the middle of the conversation, he like called me sexy. And I was like, ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. When it becomes
and
personal,
so
not professional.
Right. Exactly. And I'm like he addressed me like as if that was my name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, it's one thing to describe me that way, but like,
yeah.
To say like, hey, sexy, how are you doing? No, don't do that.
How do you react to that? So when that happened, hold on, I'm him. Hey, sexy. What do you do?
Well, first of all, this is through Instagram, so I was typing this. He typed that.
Okay.
Very confused, very perturbed. So I told him, I was like, please don't call me that. Like, I just want to keep it strictly professional. And I was very like straightforward, but I wasn't being rude or anything. And then he was like, oh, you can ask my other models that I've worked with. I'm always professional. And I'm like, I don't really care to ask them. I know what I'm experiencing right now, and I don't think it's professional. And then after that, he just blocked me and ignored me. And I was like, okay, whatever.
Sounds like you dodged a bullet with that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly. So I was like, whatever. And plus, most of the photography he did was like lingerie, boudoir type thing. So I was like, yeah, I know where this is going. You're one of those. So that's another tip, ladies. If you notice a photographer, most of their photography or the majority of their photography is all like females with their butt out, females with their boobs out. Like, and that's totally fine. Like, I like shooting like that, but just be aware and watch the red flags. Because there are photographers that shoot that kind of content and aren't like that, but there are a lot that are. So just watch for the flags. But anyway,
how would you tell the difference between those two? Like, what are some flags that you would call out?
So it's all in the way they address you and how they ask to shoot. Like, if they're like flirting with you and saying, you look so good, let's shoot together, that's a flag. Like, it's one thing to compliment you, like, hey, I would love to shoot with you. I think you have a great look. That's a thumbs up. Hey, you look really good. Like, that ass is fat. That's a thumbs down. Don't do it. That's really extreme. But like, if they call you sexy or like sending all these heart eyes and kissy emojis, like.
So basically, like, any flirtation is just a hard no.
Exactly. Because like, if
it's a profession, this is your job, so you gotta like, okay, yeah, my ass might be out, but this is still a professional setting.
Exactly. And if you're a photographer wanting to work, then you need to treat it as work.
Yeah, I was thinking that if that woman that you're addressing was an astronaut, would you say those same words? Like, you should be able to address them as a professional regardless of their profession.
Exactly.
And I think if that language isn't consistent regardless of that, like, that sounds like a red flag.
And Shai, I want to applaud you. Like, you 23 years old, and it seemed like you set those boundaries with like anybody. So once you hear those red flags, you put them in their place. And that's just like a segue in the alley to my my co-host over here, who's like, that's her specialty in coaching. She helped people set those boundaries. So if you someone that's entering the model world and need to like taking on Shai's advice and say, you know what, I need help doing that, Coach Gina is definitely a great coach for that.
I appreciate that, Phoenix.
Boundaries are so important in this industry.
Yeah. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because I agree, like 23 in any industry, I think is decently young to kind of have things figured out and to know what your boundaries are, especially when it comes to a career where, like you said, it could be easy to sell out and just be like, well, this is a good opportunity. You know, I don't really know. So for you to have that level of a head is really impressive. Can you speak to where that comes from for you?
The nitty gritty. I've had some experiences in my life that kind of forced me to reevaluate how I handle things. I've been sexually assaulted several times. I've been.
I'm sorry.
At this point, it's something that happened, and it's molding me into who I am right now. And as I got older, like there was a time where I didn't think that I was all of that. And that also stems from, you know, what happened to me, and I was bullied a lot. So growing up, I just had to learn how to like push things down. And I was a pushover, and I just kept letting things happen. And then at one point I was just like, why am I dealing with this? Like, why am I allowing these things to happen? Like, why am I so scared to like speak up and say what bothers me? And once I started doing more self-reflecting and focusing more on myself than what other people think, I started realizing that I am a people pleaser. And at some point I was like, I cannot be like this my whole life, because this is dead. I'm not about to keep dealing with this. I don't have to deal with this. So I'm trying to think of the one instance where I stood up for myself and it fucking worked. And I was so proud of myself, but I can't think of what it was. I just remember having this aha moment, like, oh my God, I fucking did it. And nothing bad happened. So
it's funny because usually the opposite happens too. Like, I stood up for myself and nothing bad happened because I stood up for myself.
Exactly. So at that point, I just kept the momentum, and I was like, I'm gonna keep doing this. Like, this feels really good. So I started being able to say no, and without feeling like I was losing something. That was like the main thing. It was just like forcing myself to put myself first.
I love that.
At what age was that? What age did you had that moment where you was like, you had to start to reflect?
I think it was related to, I want to say, when I broke up with my last boyfriend. And that was 2 years ago.
21, you was 21 years old? I was
21. No, I hadn't even turned 21 yet.
Okay.
I was still 20. We broke up August 2018. And I knew I wanted to leave because I just wasn't happy anymore. And never mind. Yeah, I just wasn't happy anymore.
No, what's that? We want to hear that. No. Come on, sip a little more.
I was gonna say it didn't really have anything to do with him, but it did. Like, he just wasn't the person that I thought he was. So maybe it was a little bit of both. Maybe I formulated this person in my mind and then I started to realize that he wasn't who I thought he was. And we were living together. Yeah, I was like on the road to marriage, and then I started realizing like, whoa, I'm not ready for this. Like, and I started losing like my identity because I was so enveloped in the relationship. I didn't really have any friends at the time. Like, it was only me and him, and I would hang out with him and his friends. And then I started becoming one of the homeboys, and I was like, what is happening to me? And I just started getting more like anxiety all the time. And I was like, I can't do this. And so at that point I was like, I have to leave, or I'm going to be sucked into this. Like, I was losing a lot of weight. I was so skinny, and I just wouldn't eat. I was smoking weed all the time, like at least 3 to 4 times a day. It was a mess, child, a mess. But once I finally left, it was hard. I'm not gonna lie, because, you know, I cared about him and I didn't want to hurt his feelings. And we were like attached to the hip, very codependent. But once I finally got out of that relationship, it forced me to self-reflect. And it forced me to be like, who am I? Like, who is Shai? Because I lost it. I didn't know. I went to school, I went home to him, and that was it.
Yeah, I want to pause there and throw it back to Phoenix, because one of his specialties is is relationship coaching. Exactly what you're talking about is kind of breaking down those ideals that you have of the person that you're with and really seeing them for who they are, and also bringing your identity to the relationship and saying, okay, if we bring our true selves, does this work? And being very honest about that. So, you know, being able to prepare yourself before moving in with somebody or before getting married. I'm so glad that you didn't get married. I was married at 20.
Me too.
Divorced.
I was married at a young age too. I was married at 18.
Yeah, so you're preaching to the choir here. And I'm glad that you had
heard it all before.
To kind of wake up and say, like, okay, I'm you know, it sounds like you were experiencing some kind of self-destructive coping mechanisms to deal with the relationship. And then you hit that point where you're like, no, this isn't what I want for myself. Which is amazing that now you're here, that you were able to step away, as hard as that is, because it's not easy. Even when it sucks, it's not easy. So props to you for that.
Even though I knew I had to, yes, and like it was my choice, I didn't want to. Like it took me like 2 months to be able to break up with him.
Yeah, it's hard.
So after you did your reflecting, you asked yourself, like, who is Shai? And then you moved on. So like I asked you now, who is Shai? Who are you now?
Part of me is still figuring that out, but I know I am a strong person and I don't take shit from anybody, and I'm smart. I know what I want. Multifaceted for sure. I'm funny, confident, an all around good person to be around. And I think it took me a long time to realize that.
I think that's amazing, and something to be admired. Yeah, to be able to see yourself that way. I think that there's, for some reason, I feel like it's an American culture thing that you need to be, like, self-deprecating. You know, like you can't speak positively about yourself or be that confident, or else you're, especially women, like, oh, you're a bitch, you know, or whatever. Like if you like are feeling yourself, and you're like, no, like I'm awesome and I'm smart, and like. If you don't like that, you can go away.
Yes. And I'm so glad that you said that, because like I was just talking to my mom about this, and I feel like it's now that I'm in a space where I feel really, really good about myself, and like I want to give myself props. I don't want to feel bad about giving myself props. Like now I'm at a point where I'm trying to balance like not being too arrogant versus like being too like passive about my accomplishments.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to balance Tony Childs and and Lynn.
So Shai, Gina and I'm smiling because like that's my motto. Like my whole thing at my company is called Role Model Life Coaching, but my whole motto is like being your model self and like living it. So when people ask you, and it's not you have to be humble, right? But it's a difference between being humble and being proud of who you are. So when people ask you like, hey, how are you doing? If you're doing really well, you be like, yo, I'm doing really well. Like I'm having a great day. I just got this big job and I'm making a lot of money and I'm happy. There's nothing wrong with saying that. I don't think that's like boasting, or it might be boasting, but who said boasting is a bad thing?
Yeah,
that's how you actually feel inside. So,
yeah, you're not using it to make somebody else feel bad or, you know, rub it in someone's face or anything like that. It's acknowledging your achievements, which is wonderful. Like you've worked to get to where you are.
You bust your behind for that. We raise a toast to that.
Yes.
Cheers to hard work.
Cheers to hard work.
Hard work. Yes, absolutely.
So Shai, going back to like your childhood, you said some things happened to you, some things that you felt like you was taking advantage of that you had to overcome to be the person than you are today. Do you mind speaking about some of those things in more detail?
Yeah. I was molested more than once, and it wasn't even necessarily an adult, it was an older child. So for example, there was one time where I was like 6 or 7, and there was a kid that I used to go to church with, whose sister was babysitting me, and so I was spending the night over their house. I remember this so vividly. Her mom had just did my hair, and I was feeling cute, but I didn't want to go to sleep because I didn't want to sleep on my hair. So I was up and I was watching TV, and her younger brother, he was 12. I was 6, he was 12. I thought, or 6 or 7. I thought, I was 7. I was like, oh my God, boy, he's so cute, whatever. So I remember he had asked me to come into his room, and from that point, I don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember him saying that I couldn't say anything or else I would get in trouble, or we would get in trouble.
Yep.
So after that, I don't, it's very foggy. So I don't know if, I'm sure I like blocked it out or something, but that was the first major thing. And from there, as I got older, there were a couple more instances similar to that. And so as I got older, my innocence was taken early, to say the least. So when I turned 13, I was like, I'm a teenager now. Like I always looked a little bit older than I actually was. And the day that I lost my virginity, I was 13, and it was my neighbor who was 22.
Wow.
And at the time, I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was cool. Like, I was like, oh, a whole older guy like wants to talk to me, like whatever. And it didn't really click to me how bad it was until I turned 20, or I was in my 20s, and I was like, someone my age at the time with a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
Like that, like thinking about it now, it's like, why would you ever? Like, and it's not like I even lied how old I was. I told him I was 13. And I remember the day that it happened, walking up to his apartment, he told me to tell whoever was in his house that I was 18 and to and tell him my name was Michelle. I will never forget that. And
the whole shit was wrong from the jump, because he already
everything was wrong from jump, but I didn't, again, at the time, I was like, this is cool. And yeah, it didn't take me until I was older to realize what had actually happened, to actually process it. So here I am today, expressing my boundaries, both personally and sexually. That's always been my major thing, is it was hard for me to say no, because I felt like if I did, I don't know, I would lose out on something, or something bad would happen.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you sharing that experience. As I've shared on previous episodes before too, similar thing happened to me. Older child, I was raped for years from the time I was like 5 or 6. And it does, like, it makes it very difficult to express those boundaries, especially when you are told you can't tell anybody. You're not allowed to get a support system. You're not allowed to go to somebody else for advice. You're not allowed to share that experience. It really takes your power away from you. So I really appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing that. And I'm wondering, when it comes to modeling, because that's something I really admire about models, is that not only are they gorgeous, but they also have such a power about them. And I'm wondering, has there been a connection for you at all, having that power, like your sexuality and modeling and your beauty, and like taking that power back from the time when you were younger, when it was taken from you?
Absolutely. I think it doesn't only just come with modeling. I think it comes with finding your purpose. And when I figured out that modeling was what I wanted to do, was what I'm good at, I felt like I could do anything. I could tell someone no. I could tell someone yes if I wanted to, you know what I mean? And just be more confident in general. Modeling definitely does help because you're in front of a camera and you have to be comfortable with the way you look, and you have to be comfortable with the way you're presenting yourself, because otherwise, you know, it'll reflect in your photos. So constantly practicing that in my pictures and like channeling that thing inside of me that's like confident and powerful, it definitely really helps.
Your inner Tyra Banks.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's amazing. Did you feel that there was a struggle at the beginning to do that, or did you come to that place of confidence kind of before you started the modeling?
My first photo shoot, I wasn't comfortable. I was like, I felt really weird. But
that's the one in college, right? The one that your homegirl actually.
Yeah, the one in college. She said I did fine, but I knew how I felt in the moment, and I was like, I feel really awkward.
You know, sometimes we can be our own worst critic.
Right. Yeah, I'm also really hard on myself, so that's a whole nother thing. It definitely came with as I did it more, and as I studied more poses and figuring out what worked for me. It came as time went along.
Got it. Okay. Sure. I really like what you were saying about just practicing that confidence too. Because yeah, it's practice makes perfect, you know, like right, even if you don't feel that way, if you put that out there and you continue to practice, it just becomes easier the more you do it.
And even like, so one thing I noticed like with posing is like to always keep your shoulders rolled back and like keep your posture straight up. And
like this,
when I started, yes. And so when I started presenting myself that way, not only in my pictures, but when I walked around, I felt more confident. And I feel like it's all because like my posture used to be like this. Like I would be hunched over mostly because like I just got used to like not wanting to be seen. And then once I started like telling myself, stand up straight and like act like you know you're supposed to be here, everything changed. Like I feel like I cracked the code. I was like, oh my God, like something just like clicked in my brain when I like sat up straight. It's crazy.
Yeah. There's something to that too. I've heard other people talk about it because I had that same issue of like the shoulders forward and kind of like, you know, curling into yourself in the fetal position as much as you possibly can. But this idea that as women too, that like we're seen as sexual objects from the time that we're children, and that it becomes a natural thing to be like, oh, you have boobs, like, and that you don't accept that about yourself for some reason until you think about it and you're like, oh, that's the reason that I like tuck into myself. And like when you like stand up straight, you're like, my boobs stick out, but like that's because that's my body. Like my body just that's my body, and that's okay.
You know what? I could relate to that because like since I was a kid, I was looked at like a sexual being as well. So I definitely could relate.
Do your boobs stick out, Phoenix?
No. Just I guess everything sticks out. I mean, you know, my aura, just my personality just sticks out.
It's true. That's true. Yeah. But look at you. You're confident with it and you own it. And like it's not an uncomfortable thing to look at when somebody does have that confidence, you know, like you feel, at least I feel so uncomfortable when I'm like sitting up straight and I'm in a proper position, you know, and just like feeling confident about myself. You almost feel like you're exposed to the world. But when you see someone doing that, you're like, wow, they look really good. Like that's how you should be naturally.
Right. Exactly. And I feel like also it attributes because being a Black woman, I grew up going to school in predominantly white schools. And that took a big dip to my confidence. At the time, I didn't realize it was because of me being Black. I didn't really even, what's the word I'm looking for? Consider race being a thing. I thought it was just, there was something wrong with me. So I noticed that kids were treating me differently, but I thought that it was something personal. Yeah. And so, and obviously I don't know what to ask, like, are you doing this because I'm Black? Like, no. So, right. So I was just like I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought I was too weird. I thought I was too nerdy. I thought I was like too fat. And I just like took a lot of digs at myself with the assumptions because I didn't know, and I definitely wasn't going to ask. So it took me a while to like just be okay with who I am and realize that there's nothing wrong with me. And now I live in a predominantly white neighborhood, racist neighborhood. And I know this for a fact. And when I walk into a store, I remind myself, like, I'm supposed to be here. There's nothing wrong with me being here, because sometimes I do get stares. And I've just programmed my brain to say, they're looking at you because you're cute. That's all it is. It's fine. Mm-hmm. It's fine. So
I feel the same way. So like, anytime I go to any situation where I feel like I'm getting those kind of stares, I always, like, I embrace hate, because I'm like, if they're not talking about me, then I'm invisible. So either way, they're gonna have to be. They're gonna talk about me. So I embrace that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I've had though, like, I don't know what the fuck this is about. I feel like it's like a power thing, but I will be walking in a store and, you know, doing my thing, walking around, like getting my groceries, and it's always white men. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why, but I'm not gonna say. But it's always white men minding my business. Say it.
No, you know you can't do that. What is it?
I think it's like a power play, because they see a confident Black woman. I'm in here. I feel good about myself, clearly.
Oh, and then
I don't make eye contact with people when I walk around. I'm tunnel vision. Like, I'm not looking at you. I'm not looking around. I know where I'm supposed to be going, and that's it. And they'll go like this: "Good morning," or "Hello," and I'm like, get out of my face. Like, why are you so close? And like, it just feels very like, I'm talking to you, so you have to look at me. You know what I mean? It just feels very like, I'm a man and you're a woman, so you have to speak to me. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it makes me itch.
Gina know what you mean. Gina definitely know what you mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that idea of like, well, again, like, you're going to be rude, or you're going to be like,
right.
I'm similar to you, Shai. Like,
you look too confident. Let me make sure that you know that you have to talk to me. Like, no.
I don't. I owe you nothing, actually.
Exactly.
So I'm going to either hit you with my cart, or you can move.
Next, like, and it was like a reflex for me to like respond back. But next time, I'm going to keep it in my mind, because this has happened more than once. So next time, I'm just going to see what happens if I don't say anything.
Nice.
We'll see.
I want to hear a report back when that happens, because like, it's hard to know what to do in those situations, even when you do have good boundaries, because it's like there's a social expectation of how you should act, and you're in public, and you know you don't want to cause a scene, but they're also putting you in a position to cause a scene. You know, so it's very awkward.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So Shai, I have a question. So, you know, society normally dictates on what beautiful or pretty looks like, right? And in society today, being thick or being curvy is considered a thing, but it hasn't always been that way. When do you feel like that changed, where curvy women became a thing? I know you said like in high school, you're kind of younger. Was that always a thing for you? Like, you always got attention? Or was thinner women, because like growing up for me, thinner women was like a thing. You're supposed to be a thin, like a Q-tip. I never was into that, but that was like popular, and that's what most models look like. I know now with the Kardashians and everything, that changed. When do you think that that change took place?
I don't know, because so like I said, I went to predominantly white schools up until 10th grade. So I didn't really attribute it. Maybe I didn't really attribute it to me. Well, I was a little chunky up until 10th grade. So let's just start there. So I didn't really get that much attention. So when guys, side story associated to this, there were guys that would used to like play a joke and be like, "Well, my friend wants to talk to you," and you know me, naive Shai. I'm like, oh, okay, a boy wants to talk to me. And I'll walk over there and then they're like, no, bro, stop playing. I'm like, this is embarrassing as fuck. Like, why would you do that? So anyway, that was a side note. People actually did that. Like, I will never forget. It was in science class. And I was like, and it was this boy. Oh my God, he was so cute. And I was like,
you had a crush on him and everything.
Yes. And like, I was like, oh, he wants to talk to me. Oh, wow. No. Yeah. And so, yeah, whatever. Anywho, if you're watching this,
at that moment you were like, oh, so cute does not equal intelligent. Got it.
Exactly.
Listeners, for the listeners that can't see what Shai just did, she just flipped the bird to the haters, the guys that. And back in the days, there was a thing called Ricky Lake. I know, Shai, you probably don't know who Ricky Lake is, right? She was a talk show host. It was like Oprah, and then it was Ricky Lake. She was like a thing.
Oh, okay.
But Ricky Lake used to have this show, or it's like an episode she had quite frequently, where in high school you was like a dud, and then when you grew up, you was like how you look now. So it was like, baby, look at me now. So you would have been definitely on that episode.
Called something like that, like Dud to Stud or something like that?
Yeah. It was like, baby, look at me now. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
so
that's how I feel on a daily. Like, I'm like, I wish I would run into somebody that knew me back then, and I wish they would try to hit on me, and I wish I could shit on them. That's like gold. Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
But anywho, the original question was, when did I feel like that changed for being like thicker? So when I got into 10th grade, I switched schools because I was having issues at my other school. That's a separate story. And I finally switched to my neighborhood school, which was a predominantly Black school. And I joined the cheer team. And when I joined the cheer team, I got real skinny. I was skinty, and I started getting more attention. So I was in 10th grade. I graduated high school in 2015, 10th grade. That was probably 2013-ish. So long story short, I don't know when it changed because I gained weight again in college because I was working at Jack in the Box. And I'm really trying to like do a timeline rewind, but I just can't even. I would say definitely for me, it changed more recently. Like in the last like 3 years or so. No, it changed for me when I moved out of California and I went to college in the South where they like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I moved back here, people like that out here too.
Yeah.
Right.
It's our situation. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. That's when I noticed it. I was like, dang, I love the South. I love me some country boy.
I have a question. So your career is in being a curve model, right? So being curvy is like your money maker. If you had a chance to be slimmer, would you take that chance, or are you comfortable, and do you love your weight? I
love my weight. I love my body. I work out, but I work out to maintain because I like my shape. Because I like my shape. I think it looks good. I do know when I get outside of an area that I don't prefer, and then I get back to where I'm supposed to be. Like if I get too heavier than I prefer, I slim back down, but not like I don't ever want to be skinny. It's not for me.
Yeah.
So you don't need a 6-pack and anything, right? You could have a little.
Oh no, I don't even. I like a nice toned oblique, and then my waistline still,
You get the hourglass going on, and yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's all I need. And a fat ass. That's it. That's all I need.
So what would you say? What would you say to the little Shais out there that has or are going through a childhood similar to yours, or the Shai that the boys is playing those games with at they don't like because they're darker, or they don't like because they're a little thicker? What would you say to those girls?
I would say it gets, I know it's cliche as fuck, but it gets better. Like, when you get to that point where, first of all, just a side note, those who bloom early ripen early. Is that what I'm looking for?
Not early.
Right. They tend to early. So keep that in mind, babies. So I was look at me now, sis. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. Just keep confident. Keep focused on yourself. These people are temporary. You still have so much more life to go. You have so much more to do. I know me personally, I struggle with depression and I struggle with anxiety. And there have been times where I'm like, I don't even know why I'm here. Like, why? And if you're struggling with that, it's important to make sure you find what drives you. I know from personal experience, if you don't have that thing that makes you feel fulfilled, it's very easy to fall into that mind state. So just keep focused on your goals, know what you want to do, keep busy. That's the main thing. Keep busy, keep pushing, keep making that money, excelling, do what you got to do, but don't ever sell yourself short. Just as soon as you sell yourself short, you'll just put yourself back down that rabbit hole of feeling like shit. So I know sometimes as someone who's in a sense was taken early, it's easy to feel like I need to give access to my body to feel good about myself, but you don't, because it might feel good in the moment. Not gonna lie to you, it's gonna feel good in the moment, but then afterwards you're gonna feel like shit. Every single time you're gonna feel like shit, especially if you know that person doesn't give a shit about you. Be mindful of your body. Be mindful of what you need to feel good long term, not just in the now.
That was great advice.
I would like to raise a cheers to that, because that was powerful and beautiful. And we are at the top of the hour, and I think that's a perfect place to leave our listeners with that advice. Very inspiring. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes, of course.
But Shai, before we wrap things up, is there anything that you want to put out there? Any projects that you're working on? Places that they could look you up, shout you out?
Yeah, what's next for you?
Yeah.
Yes. My Instagram is Shai, SHAI .MACKK _ Shai Mackk, Shai Mackin. You can follow me on there. You can keep up with everything that I'm doing, but I do have some things in the works. I'm going to be part of a talk show, an all Black women talk show that's going to be on YouTube.
Ooh.
We don't have a release date for that yet, but it's definitely going to be gaining momentum in this year. Because it's coming out next year. Yeah, in this next year.
Nice.
Amazing. I will definitely be looking that up.
Yes. Definitely be looking up and subscribing to that.
2021, I plan on being signed to a major agency. I'm going to be on a billboard. I'm going to be in a Target campaign. I'm claiming it. I'm manifesting. We'll see, but I'm manifesting.
That's what I'm talking about. Shai Mackk in the building. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's amazing. I believe in you. I believe that those dreams, you're going to go even further than that. I think that's your moonshot. You're landing among the stars. It's going to be good.
Thank you.
Absolutely. But before we go, this is my favorite part of the show, Shai Mackk. It's called our Thing of the Week. During our Thing of the Week, this is where Gina and I provide our audience with something that inspired us, as it be a book, a quote, a movie, a feeling, something that we want to provide our guests with to hold on to until we see him again next week. So without further ado, my Thing of the Week is this. We kind of mentioned it earlier. You kind of stole my shine, Shai Mackk, but my Thing of the Week is, for me, I need to raise my nose up a little bit. And what do I mean? What I mean by that is sometimes in the sake of being humble, we forget that once we achieve certain accomplishments, we don't boast about it. We don't celebrate. And I realized that although I'm not better than anyone, some people do not live my life. So when individuals provide me like their pain and things they're going to, I could be empathetic, but I don't have to take that on. So for me and everyone else, I say when you accomplish those goals and you reach that level of success that you brush your ass to get to, raise your nose a little bit and pat yourself on the back, you heard? That's my thing of the week. Role model mindset, Coach Phoenix, Coach Gina.
I love that. That actually transitions pretty well into my thing of the week, speaking of goals. So my thing of the week is this. I want everybody who's listening to finish the phrase, I want. It could be whatever goal you have. Maybe it's to move more throughout the day. Maybe it's to write a book, spend more time with your family, whatever it is, solidify that want in your mind. Now, I want you to finish that phrase with a but. I want to eat better, but I don't have time to go grocery shopping. I want to get up earlier, but I'm so tired in the morning. Whatever it is that follows that but is your roadblock. I want you to focus on that roadblock and find strategies to tear it down so you can reach your goal. And when you reach that goal, you hold your head up high, you put your shoulders back, and you bask in that moment. You be proud of yourself.
Absolutely. That was powerful, Gina. Well, this time we have to say goodbye. Shai Mackk, again, thank you for joining us. Audience, subscribe. Tell a friend to subscribe. Coach Gina, Coach Phoenix, Toast with the Coaches. Cheers, and we out.
Cheers.